Purpose today is to share with you the Society's current activities, what we're planning, what we're doing, future plans, but most importantly to hear what you think about them. So we're really keen on feedback. Do tell people what you think. Before we launch into the day proper, I've got some housekeeping things I need to pass on to you. The first one is, please turn these off. I'm even going to turn mine off now, and people who know me know that I always have a phone with me, so please do turn those off. Even in vibrate mode, they cause havoc with the, you'll get the noise like we got just a moment ago when we turned these speakery things on, so please do turn them off. As a precautionary measure, our IT department has devised a technical measure, especially for those who are unable to turn them on. Now we're not expecting any fire drills today. So if you hear the alarm, and it'll be really difficult to miss if you do hear it, there are 2 exits behind you. Please use these to leave the building and go to car park number 2. And I really hope we won't have a fire because it's our new splendid oak-clad building. Now, toilets are out through the door to my left. You may have already found them. I do need to ask you not to attempt to flush paper towels down the toilets because the system doesn't like it. Now, we're very grateful to the Society's lawyers, Derby's, for very generously subsidising our conference again this year. Time and again, Derby's have justified our decision to appoint them a couple of years ago. We do put things out, like services and advice, to competitive tendering every so often, just to make sure we're getting good value for money for the Society's funds, so that we're spending the most on our charitable objectives and the least we can on other matters. So we're really pleased with Derby's. This is a non-smoking building, but don't worry, don't worry. You'll remember from your school days that bicycle sheds were put there for a purpose, and there are some outside. I understand there was another purpose, but we don't need to go there, unless you cycle today, of course. Now, there's one slight change to your programme. This programme's in your packs, and we're having an extra comfort break at 11:10 this morning. But apart from that, the programme is as stated. So we have a number of presentations before lunch at about 12:30. Then this afternoon we start off with the presidential address, and if you're not sure what this entails, think of President Obama giving the US State of the Nation address, and then go up market a little because we've got Desi Dillingham, and she'll fill the auditorium with good stuff. And infuse everyone. Then we've got a few more presentations, and the day climaxes at 3 o'clock with tea and coffee and cakes. If anyone's still not had a tour of the building, there'll be an opportunity after tea, so you'll be able to do so then. Now, you've got packs. You should have bags of stuff, any number of goodies in there, including the programme you should have just located. But very importantly, there's an evaluation form, and we want you to find the evaluation form and let us know before you leave what you actually thought of today. Really important. Do take the opportunity to talk to any members of staff that, or anybody else that you may see. People have got badges with red things on, or the clip-on badges with a solid red logo in the middle, and there'll be staff, so you'll be able to pick people out easily. And do share information, find out things, and generally talk. It's now some 5 years since our first Volunteers Conference that we held, and that was sort of in a marquee out in the front of, you remember the old building now, of course. So I hope you're all suitably impressed with the change that's happened. But it's in a small marquee out in the front of the building. And in those 5 short years, we've all been used to, well, a very young politician, barely out of short trousers, trying to infuse us with what he thinks is a bold new initiative, the big society. But the idea that voluntary effort is some newfangled idea, really doesn't hold muster, does it? For the last well, where would the BHS be? Where would we be with equestrianism in this country had it not been for legions of volunteers over the last 60 years, more than 60 years, doing their bit to improve the welfare of the horse, the safety of riders, places to ride, standards of education. None of these things would have happened without volunteers doing things like you do today. It's the combination of the professional team here at Stoneleigh and in the regions, and the volunteers in the counties and the areas, and other forms of branches we have in the different bits of the organisation that really bring together everything that we all hold so dear and value. You know, whether it's from the Scilly Isles to Scarpflow, across the whole country, we're doing stuff. But we could always do with more people doing stuff, so we wanted to take some good messages back to help you gain some extra volunteers today, and we've got a good talk on that coming up later. But in essence, because we already do all the things, we are the archetypal big society. So let's not think we're inventing things. I heard this morning, as I was getting ready to come in this morning, on the BBC television programme, that Nick Hurd, the Minister for Civil Society. Do you know, I didn't know we had a Minister for Civil Society until this morning. But nevertheless, they invent these new names. Nevertheless, Nick Hurd was encouraging volunteering today and saying, if only everyone would go out and do a bit more volunteering, everything would be so much better. We already do this, but let's go and get some more to help us, because many hands make light work. Before we crack on with presentations, and I will apologise if I cause the schedule to run late, you know, because I'm a bit to run a bit. But before we crack on with presentations, let me say a word or two about myself. My first association with the Society goes back, I'm afraid, some 30 years now, when I was just rode out after school and found a little white notice at the end of one of the paths I rode, which said the path was due to be closed, extinguished, you know, an application had been made or something, and I objected. And an eagle-eyed county access officer for where I lived then realised I had objected, because she talked to her council officers, and wrote me into supporting. And that was that then, really. So I've been doing it ever since. But you get involved because it actually means something to you, and it's worth doing. And we defended that right away and stopped it being closed, which was fantastic. And that was only the first of many things. So in access, then I started at local level, looked after things in my district. You remember in the early 90s we had, when Hubert Reynolds was here, we had the year of the Arrow, Access and Riding Rights of Way. We went out and surveyed paths, and we all went out and did different things. Just started designing circular routes that we now call community circuits, and regional routes and part of the national network. And so we're all doing that really busily in the district that I lived in then. And that's been really productive. We surveyed all our paths. Some areas just surveyed the paths that were on their definitive maps or their ordnance survey maps. I sent people out and we recorded everywhere we rode. We wrote it all down. And then, after we had done that, we said, but these ones aren't recorded. And even now, Hertfordshire are still adding, because they've got a long backlog, they're still adding paths that we gave evidence to them in the early 90s onto the definitive map, and so protect them for future generations. But being a local access officer led on to regional access, policy, and then advisory committee here for access. And all in parallel with that, I was riding my horses, committee member for my local riding club, horse trials, show jumping, and in return I would organise the dressage and Prix Caprilli, so I could always take part in the ones I've most enjoyed. And then running stuff for the area liaison committee on riding clubs, ending up riding clubs committee, ran my team at university. You get into doing things, and people will say to you, it's only 3 committee meetings a year. That's always the least part of the whole volunteering issue. But that's just me. I know that everyone in this room does wonderful things. I know we've got people out in the regions doing so much more. I'm at work most of the time. I can't be doing this all the time, volunteering. And there's other people fitting things in their weekends and evenings, and people who are retired or temporary or on a work break, fitting things in to do more for equestrianism and for the BHS's charitable work. And we're grateful to all of you for all of these things. Now, I can't go on all day about this, so that just leaves me to wish you a really, really enjoyable day. And do talk, do mingle, do discuss with everyone you come across. And let me now introduce our Chief Executive, Graham Corey. Graham.